Just a quick preface before we get into this video. Myself and my co-host RJ have purely started this because we love the sport of MMA. That's it. That's the only reason. With that being said, our production side of these videos in the beginning are going to be not top tier. I'll just flat out say it. It's not going to be the best, but we are going to put out the best quality and content we can for you guys. And as time goes on, it's going to catch up. So please bear with us in that aspect. With that being said, enjoy the video.
Up next week, UFC 285, John Jones versus Cyril Gane.
I feel great about it. I think it's an excellent card, top to bottom, really. And it's, it really is showcasing kind of skill levels at all weight classes. We get to see little people all the way up to John Jones' debut at heavyweight. So I'm pretty excited for this card.
Just stacked pretty much top to bottom, like you said. So we'll start on the bottom and work our way up. Early prelims, we got Ian Gary, 10-0, going up against Keenan Song. Ian Gary is that guy,
He's looking really good,
think.
Undefeated record. This seems like that fight to just... I think he's set up to win this fight. And this one, it's on obviously the prelim, but it's still a big card. And I think a lot of eyeballs are going to see it. This could be the fight that really puts him over with big fans, big.
I agree. I think he's coming up on top 15. A win over Keenan Song, who is he's a dog. He's not a walkover opponent.
Absolutely.
He's going to put up a fight. But I think if Ian Gary establishes his jab and uses his range, his good striking, I think he gets it done. But I would love to see Keenan Song go out there and put on a show. It's going to be a good fight.
Both those guys are in that spot where they, if you want everyone to hear you, you got to be loud,
This is the card to do it, because there's going to be eyeballs everywhere. Moving through the card, that's a notable fight. We also got Derek Brunson versus Dricus du Plessis. I'm sorry if I botched that name, but that's what I got. That's what I came up with.
You did pretty well with that.
Du Plessis is coming off a good showing against Darren Till. There we are. I got it. But Darren Till, you would think he was coming with the wrestling, training with Hamzat.
Actually good after he survived that first onslaught. He actually was looking pretty good in that fight. It's just, Darren's got to get his head on right. Du Plessis looked incredible.
Absolutely.
But we have to have some kind of type of question about Darren Till. I mean, was he up there? Did he show up the way that, I think he did after he got checked in the first round a bit. I don't want to take anything away from Du Plessis. He's looking good for sure. But Brunson it's a problem, you know what I mean? And not a whole lot of people are going to be able to deal with the pressure, the wrestling of Brunson. Brunson's at the very top, and win over him is certainly a notable win.
I don't know, because before the Darren Till fight, I had Du Plessis as a striker. I didn't chalk him up as any sort of wrestler, but he went out in there and he did his thing against Darren Till on the floor. So initially, I was going to say Derek Brunson was just going to maul him and take him down. But after that, I don't know. Now I'm on the fence about.
You got to be well-rounded in this game. And Du Plessis certainly, doesn't have any gigantic glaring hole, but if there is any weakness in that department, be sure that Brunson is going to expose that.
He's going to attack it. But Du Plessis is huge for 185, so I don't know how that's going to play against Brunson, who's not the biggest, but he's definitely strong.
That's a good point, besides.
I'm excited for that fight. Who knows
kind
what's
of feel
bad
happen for Brunson. He gets he's up there, man. He's so talented, but he's had some pretty devastating losses, and
brutal.
Always from the cream of the crop, but still, it's tough. It's tough when you're that guy at the top of the division. It's really tough. So he's kind of fighting for his position in the and
he might catch a stride though and make his way back up. I would love to see it. Blonde Brunson
there. We'll get it done,
He's a mythical fighter. He can beat anybody.
Absolutely. Wilson.
Then, oh man, I mean, what fight do we even got next? I'm looking at this card right now. We can talk about any
What
of
opens
these.
up the main card for us?
Main card, Bo Nickel and Jamie Pickett. Bo Nickel coming off the Contender Series, making
Bo's
his debut.
extremely impressive these days. I mean, we haven't even been able to see a whole lot, but his skill set is just so hard to deal with, and I can't really see many people, even at the top, being able to deal with it. Maybe, maybe some people can.
Hamzat.
That would be a very interesting fight. I
going
tell you what, though, I think Bo Nickel, on paper at least, we'll see how it translates to MMA, but on paper, Bo Nickel's the far superior wrestler. Far superior. So
absolutely. But Hamzat just a different
well, we
breed.
haven't been able to see Bo in any of those types of positions yet, so Hamzat obviously is able to handle the pressure of a big fight. He's able to handle going, the distance, which is a huge thing. I don't think we've seen Bo go 15 or 25 or 15 minutes in his career. So
no,
but I have
definitely
no
not.
doubt in my mind about his cardio abilities and his gas tank holding up. I really have, the real question is how good is he able to mix together his wrestling, his new kickboxing skills, and mixing it all up. We know this. It's not just. You can't just be one-sided in this game. You have to be able to have all the components to a full mixed martial artist, but you also have to have that in between that smooths out the transitions from one to the other.
I agree. I mean, I don't think anything exterior outside of the cage is going to affect Bo Nickel being on the NCAA Wrestling National Championship stage so many times. I don't think the lights are going to get to him. I don't think any of that's going to get to him. I think anything that's going to help him.
I agree with you 100%. The pressure's not going to get to this guy. He's made his thumb. I think this is an easy win for Bo.
I think he's set up to definitely dominate this fight. I don't want to put Jamie Pickett out like that, but I think they're trying to feed Bo Nickel, and this could be the next big thing.
I think that's what it's looking like for sure. It's a good matchup for him. Let's just put it that way.
It is. I just hope he strikes a little more. That's the biggest question I have is we know he has a bomb of a left hand. He landed it, but let's see some kicks. Let's see some knees. Let's see everything in this fight. If he really wants to put himself on the map. Well, and that's like we were
just talking about. In order to really be that complete mixed martial artist, you got to be able to fuse together the strikes into the takedowns. If somebody, even if they're a better wrestler than you, if somebody knows that, all this guy's going to do is try to take me down, well, then all he's got to do is defend the takedown, get back up, and then what happens after that? Exactly. So you got to be able to at least use the striking to control the distance, get in or out as you wish, and I think Bo he's at a great camp. He's around some of the best fighters in the world. I think he's going to have good coaches. I would put money that he's going to come very prepared to do all aspects of a mixed martial arts fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the stepping stone for him. Opening up a main card in your debut under John Jones is unbelievable. That's
how it goes. He's certainly a top prospect to look out for, and I think we're going to be talking a lot more about him, as the next couple of years come closer. I'd love to see fights with him and Hamzat. I'd love to see fights, with him and Colby or really any of the top guys, right? Like any of them.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I would love
because,
that.
Especially in and around 170, 185, 205, especially 70 and 85, like there are some really top-notch wrestlers in those divisions that, it's interesting. And
it's fun.
Yeah,
it's
and
so
you
much
think
fun
about the two guys at top of 185, Pereira and Izzy, who are incredibly blessed and talented strikers. But how do they do against the caliber of wrestler at Bo? He's going to be a handful for anybody he fights. That's for sure.
He went on a record with Ariel when he was on his Ariel show talking about Pereira and Adesanya. I don't know. I mean, we've seen Adesanya has the takedown
for
defense.
sure. Adesanya's not going to go down easily, but I think Adesanya's fought good wrestlers, but again, I really don't think it's anywhere near the Bo Nickel capacity.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
I
would
just
agree.
recently went back and watched the grappling event that he had with Gordon Ryan.
I just watched that as
over
well.
Again was so much more fun than it was for me the first time because I kind of already knew what was going to happen, and I was just able to watch some of the. You know, most of that fight was stand up. They were just wrestling most of the time, and it's just so interesting to see some of his setups and some of his grips that he makes and how he's able to choose the distance wisely. And it was almost, he kept pulling on Gordon's head, but the moment Gordon showed his back and Bo got his hips underneath him, he went for a ride. And I think it's really that easy for him to choose, okay, this is the moment where you're going to go flying through the air.
You're going to go for a ride.
Land you on your head. And if it was an MMA match and I'm allowed to punch you and choke you and everything, all those things at the same time, this guy's a very bright future in MMA, that's for sure.
It's going to be fun to watch him coming up these ranks, but all respect to Jamie Pickett. If he pulls off what we believe as this big upset, then credit to him, and I'd love to see
100%.
it. That'd be great.
If you take out that young line coming up to the ranks who everybody thinks could be, has world champion aspiration, good on you, man. Nothing but fault to Pickett.
Sure. So right after that, we got one of the most anticipated fights on the card for me. Jalen Turner, Mateusz Gamrot. Man, oh man, this is just
absolute animals. Jalen Turner, I believe, 100% finish rate. Is he still rocking with that? I think he's all the fights he's finished.
Because
that's unbelievable.
He's 13-5. But I believe he has
that's
100%
killer
finish
killed
rate.
because I believe he's been submitted, dude. But that's killer be killed. That's exciting. That's a great fighter. That's someone who, if you're trying to get into the sport and you're trying to get your buddy into the sport, this is one of those guys you want to follow because it's going to be fireworks, exciting fight. Absolutely incredible fighter. And Gamrot, that agree. What a man! I'll admittedly say I bet against him in his last fight. I bet against him, but that's okay. He's definitely an absolute dog. His pedigree is insane. His pressure is insane. That one's going to be interesting. I got to ride with Jalen on that one. I think he gets.
I mean, this one's nothing but fireworks. Either way you go.
I just can't see the wrestling being enough. I think the first round is probably going to have him down, force him to fight off the bottom for a little bit. But I do eventually think Jalen will find. I think he finds his opening and gets it done. I think that would be a finish, actually.
I agree. I think someone gets finished there, and I think the submission threat of Jalen Turner is going to stray Gamrot from wrestling much. I think even if he gets him down, I think Jalen Turner is so slick with his submissions that Gamrot's going to learn early. Not to go
honestly, I don't know if that'll scare him away from the grappling exchanges. I think he believes in his heart that he will have the dominant grappling, but that might be the reason he falls into something. I think he might underestimate Jalen's ground game, which would be silly to do at this level, but we're having like that type of grappling pedigree as Gamrot does. I can't really see him shying away from those exchanges, but I do think it's very possible he gets caught either on the way in or on the ground. Jalen Turner's the finisher, man. That guy's...
They both are. They're both ready for war. I think this one could be fight of the night, if I'm being honest. On this card, I think this could still steal the show.
It's one of those. That's the fan favorite. That one's for the hardcores. Most
that one is
people
for the
who
hardcores.
are following. All the up and comers. the guys on the other shows, you know, Dana White's Contender Series, and just coming up through the ranks a little bit slower, you know.
But
That's one to
they're
watch
coming.
for sure.
Another one to watch, man. I mean, these fights just keep getting better. Jeff Neal and Shavkat Rakhmonov. Get it after getting canceled in the beginning of the year, where we got him back on a big card.
Another one, I believe, 100% finish rate. What?
I know for sure 100%. He's 100%.
I mean, I believe he's only maybe 4 or 5 fights in the UFC. The level of the guys he's fought have been, you know, where they should be, I believe. They didn't rush this guy through by any means. I do think Jeff Neal's fought the harder competition this far into his career with the UFC. And I think he's fighting for his spot in the rankings.
I mean, I looked at Jeff Neal's resume before this just to see who he has fought, because I know he has fought the who's who. And his resume is just down the line stacked. So we're talking biggest fight of Shavkat's career. I mean, 16-0, putting the undefeated streak on the line, coming off a win against Neil Magny. This is a big step up.
Neil Magny, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a submission, round 2,
That's incredible.
I believe.
Neil Magny is no slouch on the ground. He's got that key style. He has been caught from time to time with submissions, but
he's a great of cottage.
Certainly no pushover. Shavkat's looked nothing but impressive. This is a great fight, actually. I almost forgot that one was on the card until you just brought it up again. I don't know who to pick. He leans towards Neal because he's had the experience. He's the veteran. He's been in those huge fights, and he's proven himself time and time again. The guy, he's got power. I mean, he's got an exciting guy. I actually really like his personality too. Anytime I see him, he's right. Like,
cool guy.
I'm sure Shavkat is also a great guy, but you know, with the language barrier, to get into the stardom right now, it's like I don't really know anything about him other than the fact that he's a great fighter. Jeff Neal, I can relate to. We've seen him more, we've heard him more, and part of your heart, no matter where your head goes on this one, has to be with Jeff Neal. He's just the veteran.
Absolutely.
And this is just one of those fights where you hope nobody gets hurt. It's like, just give us a great fight.
Yeah.
I hope
great fight
win from this one. No matter who wins, I hope you both win.
Absolutely. I think the momentum Shavkat has coming into this fight is going to be a big part for him. I think he's like a snowball coming downhill, and I think he's on the up and up. But all respect to Jeff Neal.
Someone had to take the fight, right? Like, when a guy like that is coming up, trying to get into the top 15, the top 10, the top 5, somebody has to, as Uncle Chael would say, drop the ladder down and you have to let the guys into the loft with you. Otherwise, they're never going to get in there. So props to Jeff Neal for taking the fight. It's a tall order for anybody. This one will really prove, to me at least, as long as there's no weird, controversy surrounding the win, with a clean win over Jeff Neal, it's nothing but the moon for Shavkat after this.
Yeah, there's no end for him in sight. If he gets this win in dominant fashion, I think he's right up there with anybody in 170%.
It's again a lot of interesting matchups there. All of them. It's like, I kind of wish the UFC doesn't normally bring two of their very promising stars up at the same time and have them fight each other kind of when they're both on their come up. The UFC would rather build both stars, maybe down the line set up a fight, for a belt or something like that. But that's one of those fights where, maybe 2 years ago it would have been fun to see a Shavkat versus Hamza, right? It's like, that would have been an interesting fight to us, a couple years ago, because you got two guys from a similar part of the world, sort of similar styles, just absolute maniacs when it comes to technique and just that fight IQ and it's hard to see that guy. Shavkat I'm talking about, but both of them really. It's hard to see him even make a mistake because everything he's done so far has been so clean that we can't even like see a problem because it's always like over before we even realize what's going on.
That's what happened with Hamzat before the Gilbert Burns fight. We all thought he was invincible, and then Gilbert went out there and showed, oh wait, this guy can be beat. So I think this could be the fight for Shavkat where Jeff Neal shows, oh, this guy can be beat, even if he doesn't win, but he takes him to the deep waters.
So we're gonna find out what fighter Rakhmonov is after this week.
Absolutely. Leading us right into the co-main, we got Valentina Shevchenko against Alexa Grasso for the flyweight title.
I tell you what, with this fight, I bet against Valentina all the time. Not this time though. I think
really even off the controversial win against Talia Santos last fight.
Talia's, she had the size, she had the what can I say? She came into that fight extremely hungry. Not saying that Grasso isn't, but I think Valentina's just done such a good job at cleaning out the entire division. They're trying to just anybody who shows any type of ability to have a good night out there is going to get the shot against Valentina. And I just can't see Valentina dropping the ball on this one. Grasso is an incredible fighter. I have so much respect. Great boxing, great jiu-jitsu.
She's very
well-rounded, but I can't see the striking. I can't see her out-pointing the champion. Valentina has maybe showed some signs of struggling on the ground with bigger opponents. Grasso doesn't really have that. She's fought at 115.
I think Valentina is going to be bigger.
Oh, I think you're right. Absolutely. I think because Grasso fought at 15, 25. Valentina, if was ever to change weight classes, it would be up 100.
She's going up. She is huge for 125.
So I don't think Grasso's not going to have that size advantage that we maybe have seen a shred of evidence that Valentina struggles with. But I just see Valentina kind of pointing her way out of this one with her Muay Thai, and if she goes to the ground, I believe she will be able to defend herself at the very least. And I see the champion edging out a victory.
I think we're gonna see a Valentina that might be angry in a way, coming off that controversial win, however you saw it. But
point, yeah.
I think she's out to prove a point here. I think she's gonna either really go for that finish on the feet, or she's gonna try and dominate like she did to Jessica Andrade, make that point clear.
Yeah, because I tell you what's really left for her at this point? There's not a whole lot. I mean,
exactly.
That Amanda fight kind of maybe seems like it's there. There's not a whole lot of interest, even though they were very close fight. But she did go 0-2 against Amanda. I'm not exactly super excited to see that, even though, I mean, there's no question.
I think
it's the best two girls in the world, so that's certainly cool, but I don't know how many times I need to see it before they both kind of just retire and ride off into the sunset, because it seems like they're both close, maybe not right away. They may have a few more years, maybe 5 more fights, maybe, who knows, but I can't really see them doing that fight anytime soon, or if it makes sense even at all. I think it might be too late at this point. I think you had to do the third one pretty quickly after the second one if you wanted a third. I think if you want anything for Valentina, you're going to have to get one of these rising stars that come out of nowhere, get the shot, and catch her sleeping. Either that, or although she is big for the weight class, maybe somebody coming up from the weight class below her to challenge, might be interesting. I've said this to you off air, right?
We were talking about it.
I actually think it would be very interesting to see a Weili fight. I think that would be very, very interesting. Weili's very strong. She's just. I think Valentina could do a lot of good by going bad. I think she should turn a little heel, start talking a little trash, be a little meaner. You know what I mean? That be a little arrogant. Sometimes she gets up there and she like whoops somebody and and is kind of nice and is doing the dance, and it's like we've kind of seen this before. I think it would do wonders for her career if she would spice it up for us a little bit. We already know she's got the skills, and
yes, she definitely
you
has
already
the
know
skills.
She has the skills. If you want to keep us interested, she's running into one of those problems, if you will, where it's almost expected that she is, because she's been so dominant. Any shred of her losing, there's always like, the thought of her losing a round, it's like, well, we automatically offer her excuses because we know how good she is. It's like, well, maybe she fell asleep. She didn't practice that day. She wasn't planning on it being that hard of a fight, so on and so forth. But it's an exciting.
I like this fight.
I do. I like.
It's a good opportunity for Grasso.
For sure.
So, I mean, we'll see what she makes of it. And if she dethrones Valentina Shevchenko, then good on her. But
correct me if I'm wrong, Ty. Is she Mexican? Does she have the chance to become the third Mexican belt holder?
I believe so. I just started watching that countdown for Shevchenko Grasso, and I believe they said Mexican. I could be wrong, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but
yeah, I believe she is. And the UFC just put, or is in the process of putting a training center down in Mexico, and with Brandon Moreno, and now
that'd be cool.
Yeah, and now the 145 interim champ is also Yair Rodriguez is also Mexican. So it'd be pretty cool to see a Mexican card go down, introduce some new fighters. And the young kid, what's his name? What's the young guy?
Oh,
yeah.
Rosas Jr.
Rosas, man, that guy's.
I don't know his first name. I'm sorry.
Cool. That guy's incredible. I feel like we're talking about him in the future. Mexico's looking.
He's fighting. He's
fighting soon.
He fights soon. I don't know when exactly, but he fights soon.
Yep. Mexico's looking up, man.
I was gonna say something.
Nothing but fighters for the last 100 years. It's incredible what the Mexican heart brings in the cage and in the ring, the boxing ring as well.
Dude, I absolutely love Mexico. Love the fighters out of there. They're just, they got that grit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say something about Valentina Grasso. A potential challenger for Valentina if she gets through Grasso this Saturday. Erin Blanchfield just put on a clinic against Jessica Andrade.
Absolutely. And undefeated.
I think if there's anybody to dethrone Valentina, from what I've seen, it's Erin Blanchfield. Her jiu-jitsu is on another level.
It's on point. And her striking's not bad. It's catching up. We see that.
It is.
We see that happening, getting a little bit better in every fight. She would absolutely be a great challenge for the champion.
I would love that fight. So we'll see what happens Saturday. But
I tell you what, as far as the women's division goes, 25's looking pretty incredible.
It is solid nowadays.
I think it took a little bit longer because we didn't have it as well, right? The UFC had 5 and 15 for the longest time. 45, not really that deep. 25 is extremely deep, and it's starting to work itself out now. I think, this is where it's interesting, right, for Valentina's career, because is she going to be able to do what, let's say, like a GSP did? Or a John Jones, is going to be able to beat all the people of her time and then stay around long enough to beat the new wave.
Yep.
Their way all the way to the top. It's going to be very interesting because this is the time where it's starting, the rankings are finding their, proper levels and everybody's stepping up, and we're finding out now who really belongs at the top of that division. Things are going to get interesting for Valentina Shevchenko if she doesn't keep her head in this game.
And I think this is her prime time to separate herself from Amanda Nunes in that conversation, because it's basically the best women's fighter of all time. It's basically Valentina and Amanda Nunes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I believe the conversation is. There's obviously, you have Joanna and Whaley and those girls, but from what I'm aware of, I think resume wise, we have Valentina, Amanda Nunes, Ronda. Are we putting Ronda in that conversation?
She's not in the Mount Rushmore, I would say, of women's MMA. I don't know if I would put her in the GOAT category. She was excellent in her time, and she looked very unbeatable. But as we saw, Amanda made her look easily,
like an amateur.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's why when I think of the greatest, the female GOAT, I got to tip my hat to Amanda Nunes, because, I mean, first of all, she did it at the bigger weight, the more established weight, and she's beaten those basically all the other girls in the conversation.
Yeah.
She's gotten the win over Cyborg. She's gotten the win over Ronda. She's gotten the win over Misha. She's gotten the win over Holly. I mean, she's beat every single woman champion,
Top
145 to 145. She's incredible, unbelievable. She had the slip up against Pena, came back, took that win back. It seemed like for a while they were trying to build up, the Kayla Harrison fight.
Kayla Harrison lost.
She lost, so not that takes anything away from her career overall, but it kind of killed the that super fight of champions.
Yeah.
Because Kayla was undefeated. Well, now it's hard to say that she's not at least in the conversation of grades, but with Amanda's resume, it's just incredible.
It runs deep. But has she technically beaten the new generation? Because what's her resume currently? She's beaten the greats in the past.
Yeah.
Who does she have?
Well,
of the future.
Sure. I mean, she that's kind of the thing about cleaning out that division. She's even tried to do the super fights with Valentina. She's done 2 of them. She won both of them, by the way. There's not a whole lot left in the sport for her either. She's, running a gym now. She's a mother. She's got a relationship. I see her taking a couple more fights and probably sailing off into the sunset, being the greatest of all time. That's how I see that going.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I don't think she is going to be one of those fighters that hangs out longer than they should. Because
I hope not.
I hope not either. I mean, I hope it's get a couple more wins, cement that legacy, and just go have a good life. You know what I mean? There's no reason to take any.
Enjoy it.
There's no reason for you to end up a meme. Like, it's unfortunate. Because I tell you what, Ty, like
it happened. It happens.
So many young fans, or they don't even have to be young, but new fans, I'll say. So many new fans come into the sport. They see 1 or 2 fights of these legends, and then they turn them into, in their heads, they're like these bum fighters, and it makes them angry. They don't understand the dominance of BJ Penn or of Anderson Silva. These guys that towards the end of their careers suffered many and some devastating
rough losses.
Yeah, so it's like, you hate to see that happen to any fighter. I certainly wouldn't want to see that happen to Amanda or Valentina or anyone. But, people forget, man. They forget so quick. As good as your last fight, you're only as good as your next interview. It's one of these things that, I call it while you're good still, and cement your legacy.
And know when it's time.
And she's gonna have a spot in the Hall of Fame, no question about it. They're greats. Both of those ladies, the champions, are greats. I can't wait to see kind of who comes with the next challenges for both of those ladies. And even now that we're talking about the ladies, even 15 is more stacked than it's ever
Loaded.
Top to bottom. Rose is still my girl. I don't care. That's
Always.
She'll always be one of my favorite fighters. Period. I didn't think that they should have taken the belt off of her. It's kind of Rose is up there
a little
as well on the list of GOATs. I think as long as
she's done it all.
Yeah, she has, and as long as her head is on right, she shows up to fight and she wins. Usually it's always like there's always something going on when she loses it. She gets in her own TV, or something happens. But she's just another one of my favorite fighters. It's just awesome where
it's taken off. Yeah. It's really taken off. And if you're not watching women's MMA, you're missing out big.
Absolutely.
I'm being honest.
They might not all have the power to like shut somebody's lights out, but that's almost what makes it as, if not more, exciting, because you're going to get these high-paced, super technical, just all-out battles. Like, it's fun to watch.
I mean, women's MMA is great, and we really just went off on a tangent, but I think it was well worth it.
It did.
But Valentina Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso this Saturday for the flyweight title.
Let's go.
And to cap off the night, here we go. I gotta sit up in my chair for this one. I mean, everyone knows what's coming. Jon Jones, Ciryl Gane. My first question is, what is Jon Jones walking out to? Let's hear that walkout song. We need that answered.
I don't know. It's good. Something, John's always like playing games with him. He will
he's always got something good.
Yeah, he'll come out to something. That's a good question. I don't know, can't venture a guess, but that's a good. I'm sure
whatever he does, it's gonna give me chills. I know I'm gonna get chills.
Yeah, I mean, what a moment. Looking back, they've been hyping John a lot on social media and watching back over his careers, just unreal. He's another fighter. These young guys, these new MMA fans, y'all must have forgot. This guy was early 20s, gets into the UFC, dominates every single person he touches. To the belt, youngest ever champion. Just puts away with ease legend after legend after
legend. You don't want me to go down the list. Shogun Rua, Lyoto Machida, Rampage Jackson. I mean, what are we talking about here?
This guy is so good. He outstrikes the strikers. He out-wrestles the wrestlers. He submits the jiu-jitsu black belts. I think when Vitor Belfort has probably been a jiu-jitsu black belt before Jon Jones could even and he submitted him. I mean, Vitor actually had him in that compromised position with the armbar.
Almost broke his arm.
Yes.
Almost broke his arm.
Jon showed that he's not only competent on the ground with anybody in the world, but he could submit a jiu-jitsu black belt. And this was years ago. This was a long time ago. Now, I'm sure his skills have only gotten better. He's the most talented fighter we've ever seen. He wrestled guys like Chael Sonnen, like DC. He's struck with everybody, like Glover, Gus.
Like
it's just, the list really is crazy. And Ciryl Gane is a worthy opponent, but I don't think it's gonna have.
I don't think he holds a candle to Jon's ground game. If Jon decides to take it there and he can take him down, it's a long night for Ciryl.
It's going to be a long night for Ciryl Gane. I think Jon wins. I think Jon wins easy. Ciryl came out and said that he doesn't.
I know what you're going to say.
I know what you're going to say. When he's not in camp, dog.
That's rough to say before you're facing Jon Jones.
I understand it's rest, right? But if you think you're going to stop a lifetime grappling in one of the most fighters to walk the planet. If you think in camp for a couple months is gonna get you where you need to be, oh, you are mistaken. I think Jones strikes with him until he feels like doing otherwise. I think John would like.
Exactly.
I think he's going to test himself with the incredible striking, especially feeling that power at heavyweight. If he gets touched, he might drop for an ankle. And if he's having fun, he might just pick Cyril apart, you know? Use his long range, use that teep, use that front leg kick, use his elbows, his spinning attacks, his jumping attacks. He could really mix it up, knowing at any point I decide it's going to the ground, I can get it there, I can submit you, I can beat you up. I think that's an easy fight for John Jones, to be honest with you.
And there's no takedown threat coming from the other side. Cyril's not shooting a takedown on John Jones, so he has nothing to worry about there.
Yeah, and, you know, I mean, John Jones, the discussion has been, does this guy care about the sport? He left seriously, he left 205 because he couldn't get out of bed. He couldn't get motivated. He couldn't even get motivated enough to stop partying and to actually show up to practice. I mean, when you think about what he did, granted, some of those later, you know, the Reyes,
yeah,
you know, those fights,
Santos, those fights,
another one, like those fights, you know, they were close, but you got to imagine John Jones did not show.
He was partying the week before.
The autopilot and still was able to hang with those guys. Well, yes, went up to heavyweight, but let's not pretend like John Jones has never sparred heavyweights in his career. He probably mainly sparred with heavyweights in his entire career. It's not like the first time he's ever felt a bigger body. I'm sure he's out-grappled them. I'm sure he's outstruck them. This guy's just a really special tool. Cyril,
he brought in a lot. He brought in a lot of heavyweights. I was on the countdown they were showing it. He's brought in guys like Walt Harris, big Walt Harris, who's got fast hands, just like Cyril. Maybe not the kicks, but he's got other guys for the kicks. But I mean, to think John Jones isn't going to be ready for heavyweight. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Is he still training with Cejudo?
Yeah, he's still got Cejudo there. And I mean, just to think that he won't be ready for heavyweight, I think is pretty stupid to think. Yeah, if I'm being honest, he's gonna be ready.
He's the best fighter.
It's been
he's be ready. He's got good coaches. Do I think the side? No, I don't think the side is gonna matter. This isn't an instance. This is what makes this interesting, Will, right? This isn't one of those instances where somebody came up just to try their weight out. Example, when Izzy fought Jan, Izzy didn't put weight on, he just didn't cut any weight. When Max...
He weighed in at... I forget what he weighed in under 200 pounds for the 205 pounds title fight.
Like 198 or something like that, yes.
Against a Jan Blachowicz who weighs 220 on fight night.
And has the grappling. You know, that's where it turns into a problem. Same when Max Holloway came up to 55 to fight Dustin. It's not like Max got any bigger. He just looked a little flabbier. He just didn't cut that extra quarter a couple of days, which probably in some ways is an advantage. But John Jones isn't just going to be the smaller guy. He's going to be heavier. He's going to be gigantic. He spent the 2 years lifting, eating. This guy's going to come in. He's ripped. Like he's huge. He's going to look extremely imposing. I don't believe that Gon is going to, make John seem small by any means.
No.
This has been an interesting, the John Jones coming up to heavyweight. This is going to be very interesting. Cyril wouldn't have been my first choice, to be honest, for John, because it's what we got. It's what we have right now.
Yeah.
It's fine. I really don't think Cyril Gane is the match for John Jones, to be honest with you.
I think it's
John
a brutal matchup for Cyril.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I believe leagues above. Maybe this is just what he needs to get back in, get a fight at heavyweight, get on the microphone, start calling out either whether it be Francis not here anymore, but he might come back if talks and there's big money going around. You know, I think the Stipe fight been.
I would like that.
The great.
I would still like that.
I still, even though this is kind of the man at heavyweight right now, I think Stipe is the heavyweight GOAT. I really do. I mean,
I still think so.
Absolutely. So when we have the heavyweight GOAT versus the light heavyweight GOAT, let's put them together. I mean, the only two guys to ever have wins over Daniel Cormier. Let's see what happens.
Oh,
Let's see what happens when we get those two guys together. And I think that is a much harder fight for Jones, to be honest with you. Stipe is got the boxing, he's got the wrestling, he's got the power. Stipe is a dangerous man. He just, he's got his life outside the UFC, and he's getting and to be honest, Stipe's not coming back with anything less than title fights.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, which is granted for what he's done at the heavyweight division.
He's earned it 100%. And this even is a title fight, right? But for whatever reason, they couldn't make that one happen this time around. And hopefully he was being honest with us when he tweeted that he wanted next, because that would be, I would like to get back in that photo picture, maybe calling out Ngannou would be interesting, even though Ngannou's kind of doing his own thing. I'd be honest with you, we could go on another little tangent about Ngannou right now.
Yeah,
I think the man made a mistake. I think the biggest fights for him are here in the UFC.
They were talking. Dana said it was going to be one of the biggest contracts ever. Like the money was here, I think.
Yeah, so
the fights.
This is the thing. Like, I understand the freedom part of it, because a lot of fighters that want, contracts, they talk about that freedom. They want to be able to do a boxing match if it comes up. They want to be able to do a grappling tournament if that comes up. They want to be able to fight with champions in other organizations. I understand all that, but let's be honest. That's not basic muscle for the UFC. The UFC needs you to be their champion. They need you to stay in-house. They don't want to build you up for someone else to cash out. They don't want you to go and risk what they've backed in another organization, get beat up, and it makes not only you look bad, but the business, the UFC model look bad. They talk about health insurance. Okay, we're going to pay you $10 million.
$7 million, yeah.
And that's not including pay-per-views. That's not including bonuses. Like,
Sponsorships.
These guys are going to make millions of dollars by the end, tens of millions of dollars. You can spend your own money on health insurance, Bubba,
Yeah. And that's an outlier case. There are the fighters down still in the early prelims who can't probably afford health insurance, which is fair.
Of course.
But Francis can afford health insurance.
He can afford it. And also, I would just love to, if I ever saw Francis face to face, I would ask him. I don't think I wouldn't. Hey, man, who paid for that knee? Because I'm almost positive it didn't come out of your own pocket, my friend. Like, tell me these guys didn't take care of you. If you're worried about sponsorships, why don't you just sell your fights? Because he wasn't. Yeah. He wasn't a guy that
never talked trash or anything.
Never. And you don't have to necessarily talk trash, but do the interviews. Be exciting. Give the people something to talk about. You can't just kind of glide, I'll take whoever, and then get a fight that no one is exactly selling lots of numbers, and then you come in and you demand all this crazy stuff. It's like, hey, my man, he wanted in-cage sponsors. Just the UFC contract. They can't let you have in-cage. Like, it's not even a discussion, bro. I would give that to you if we could. We have a contract. They can't do it. How would they do that?
It's frustrating.
It is. I wish him well. I hope he goes. If he fights Fury,
Tyson Fury.
it's not going to be good, my man. Not going to be good.
I don't know, Francis. I don't know if that's a good idea.
I'll tell you right now, it's not a good idea. And then what happens after that? Are you going to go and fight the heavyweight champ at Bellator? What are you going to do? Come back to the UFC. Fight John Jones. What give us the Stipe trilogy. Let's get these fights that were on the table done with to see where you really stack amongst the greats. I think if John gets a win over Cyril, he's going to be right back in that conversation for best fighters to ever live. He's going to be at the very top of the heap at heavyweight. This is his, I don't know how, 15th, 16th championship fight in a row.
Something
for the organization.
Stupid.
So, I mean, if you really want the big fights, the come on, man.
He got
to be.
There's promotions coming up and making a name for themselves, but at the end of the day, the UFC is still the premier promotion for MMA.
100%.
And there's no debate right now, unless somebody else does something. But right now, it's the UFC.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple good heavyweights, in Juan and the PFL. Nothing against Bellator. Nothing against give me what's his name? He's the light heavyweight and the champ.
One of my I'm blanking too. I don't have it.
It'll come to one of us, but he got spanked by John at light heavyweight.
Ryan Bader. So
Bader got beat up in the light heavyweight division years ago when he was probably closer to his prime. Now he's the light heavyweight. The heavyweight just beat Fedor. Awesome for the resume, but it really isn't the level of competition as these guys like
John Jones,
or is that really a super fight with Ngannou? No, man. If you want to fight the best guys, you got to do the Stipe trilogy. You got to fight John Jones. I think with those 2 wins, you could wrap up tens of millions of dollars right off into the sunset as one of the greatest to ever do it. Without those 2 fights, it's
hard to say.
You might be fishing for a while for something big to come up, and you might miss the train. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
I think it's tough. It's tough. Where the heavy
it's all timing. It's timing and how things line up, and unfortunately, he made that decision. So I think it's gonna really screw up the timing if he ever tries to make that switch back and be like, "Oh wait, I made the wrong decision. Let me come back."
And what's unfortunate about that is the younger or the newer MMA fans, the crowd, is really supportive of Francis, which I completely understand. I like Francis, nice guy.
I love Francis. Love Francis.
Yeah, crazy, scary power. Like, he's the guy that looks like the heavyweight champion of the world, right? But the problem is, for John and Cyril, what happens if you win the belt? People are going to say, oh, well, that's the paper champ because you didn't beat Francis. Well, you know what? Come on, man. I mean,
he left. He's gone.
He wants to play with Tyson Fury in a square. Like,
Unfortunately, I think that's going to be worse for Cyril if he does get the win just because he lost to Francis than it would for John. But it's still going to be for both. So I feel for both of them, whoever wins this. But at the end of the day, Francis is gone. The UFC heavyweight division has to move on. And we got 2 of the best fighters fighting for the title this Saturday.
I can't wait to watch it. I mean, come on, man. Return of John Jones. That guy's been so much fun to watch since,
he's been the best
for so long. I can remember, back when he was debuting, back when he was getting his first title shot. Just again to cover some of his moments, putting Lyoto Machida to sleep against the cage and just upping his body like that, like
hold
image will forever be in my mind.
Forever.
To watch him and Gustafson batter each other, to see him be the one to take DC down and beat him. The head kick, even though it resulted in a no contest, we saw it. We know
we know who won.
DC out. Like, that was incredible. Beating up Chael's son and Uncle Chael, the baddest man out of Westland, Oregon. You know what I mean?
Undefeated, undisputed.
Come on, dog. Uncle Chael's the best, to beat that guy and out-grapple him, to out-grapple Vitor Belfort, to just the war with Gustafson, beating up Glover Teixeira, who years later came to be the champ, all these years later as an older guy. So imagine how dangerous he was back then, and John made easy work.
Him look easy.
Easy work, you know what I mean? He and then the Anthonys and just all these guys towards the end of John's career, just
the new era, making them look normal.
Making him look like whatever. Reyes gave him a fight. Santos gave him a fight, but again, he wasn't.
He probably wasn't training.
Put a whole lot, but he's in it because,
and he found a way to win.
Absolutely, and not for nothing. And this is not to throw any shade on Dominic Reyes, because I respect these guys.
Absolutely, I've been in that cage.
Well, but and look at what happened to Reyes after Jones. You
bad.
Went and rattled the greatest fighter to ever live's cage, and then they got in your head. That loss stuck with him, and I think he couldn't get over it, and it showed in his performances ever since. That's not exactly the type of mind you want your champion to have. John Jones has no battles. He's proven that he has an incredible heart. He's got the gas tank. He's got the skills. Yeah, he's the greatest fighter in my opinion.
He's top. He's my top. It's 1A, 1B. It's John Jones, Demetrius Johnson, GSP. 1A, 1B, 1C. I can't order that.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest.
I think he's
up there.
Resume, because he's avenged. I think he's avenged all his losses, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. He had 2, and he avenged both.
Yeah, which is just insane.
John Jones has never lost.
Lost. Gennady.
He lost outside the cage. That's the biggest loss he's had.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not the most disciplined person, but he's shown that he can be, and when he is, he's extremely dangerous. And we haven't been able to find really a chink in the armor. He doesn't.
Nope.
He's not struggling in any one area in particular. He's
everything has been tested.
All of it. Not only tested,
so
he puts, when someone says they're going to out-wrestle John Jones, he out-wrestles. When someone's going to...
He goes, okay.
Let's play your game, and I'll show you that I'm better. It's remarkable. I can't wait.
I can't wait for Saturday night. We're almost fight week, and it's going to be a great card through and through.
This is predictions right now. Wait, I'm going to say Bo Nickel.
Right.
I'm going to go Bo Nickel. Second round submission.
Okay.
I'm going to go Jalen Turner. Round. Ooh.
You wanted to say 1. I saw that.
Say 1, and then I wanted to say 2. I'm just going to say it's within the distance. I won't pick a round.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen,
absolutely.
Within the distance. I think he gets it done. Then it was, who was it then?
Shavkat, Jeff Neal.
This might be the hardest one to pick.
It's going to be, we're going to find out what's up.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
That one's hard.
If he's the real deal.
I might just lean towards Jeff Neal money line. I'll just say he gets the W. Just because I gotta ride with the old dog. We'll see.
He's gonna give him a test, but I'm gonna ride with Shavkat. I think he's gonna find a way.
Yep.
I think he gets done somehow.
I'm going with Shavkat on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride with. I think so.
He gets the finish.
He 100% finish rate. But Jeff Neal is hard to finish.
Let's do it.
I think I think Shavkat gets it done within the distance. I think he'll find a submission.
Then we have Valentina. I think will win the decision.
I think decision or TKO, one of those.
I think she gets it pretty convincingly. Maybe like, I don't know.
I think she just does her normal business.
Yeah, she might give up a round, but I think it's going to be pretty lopsided. And then I'm going to say John Jones with round 3 TKO.
I was going to say John Jones within 3. I don't know how he's going to finish it, but I think he'll finish it within 3.
I think he's going to get him down, get on top, rain down some elbow, and cut him open, beat him up, make him wish he wasn't there. And maybe
it
might give up the back. I think he's going to look for a way out of there, and John's going to give it to him.
Yeah, I think it could be real bad for Cyril if it goes down, but it could be real good for him if it stays up and we find out that Cyril is that striker on the feet.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible, I suppose. You know,
there's always that chance.
There's always that chance. I mean, I'm trying to think, you know, like, he didn't look world-beating against Francis. And Francis one leg. So, like,
he was on one leg.
You know, so, and Francis isn't exactly a very dynamic striker. He's just got the power. So,
standing for your bang.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not like, I'm trying to think of who the best striker. It might be like Rosenstrike or, you know,
Derek Lewis.
Even Derek Lewis.
He made Derek look.
Because he's not the.
He made him look bad.
He did. Because super tough, just takes the shot to give the shots. And you can't really get that kind of game with Cyril. But
no,
you know, as far as diverse strikers go, I think John Jones is the most dangerous person he's ever fought. And
it's going to be,
wrestling and the grappling to it. John Jones is going to put his name back on the map, you know, in a big way, I think.
Yeah.
I think he should call Stipe or Francis, get one of those going. That's what we really wanted to see. There's other great fights. Maybe Tom Aspinall comes back soon. That would be a pretty incredible fight.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
But they'll probably want to give Tom something to get him back in the mix. A lot
Curtis Blades.
Blades is there.
He's the only guy I think at heavyweight that can keep up with John's wrestling, at least to a point.
Yeah, I agree. I think they have the same, basically the same credentials. I think that
national champ.
Yeah, I believe they have the same titles in wrestling. You know, Curtis might have some of that size that's going to be helpful in those exchanges, but then you go to the kick.
He doesn't have. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have. Sorry, he's just a normal striker.
Yeah, he's getting better. You know,
absolutely.
He's looked a little crisper last few fights, but I just don't see him being anywhere near the talent of John Jones either. I think personally the kind of guys that Jones might want to stay away from the most are those really tough sluggers, guys who are hard to take down, throw heavy like a Tai Tuivasa, one of those guys. Obviously, Ty's had losses, and he's not going to be knocking on the John Jones door, but that would be a great fight, and I would love to see. Still think Jones is done. Or a fight like Stipe, because Stipe has all the right tools. He's got the boxing, he's got the jiu-jitsu, he's got the power. Stipe could make it a very interesting fight, but does Stipe want to be the best fighter in the world, or does he want to be the best firefighter in the world? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's for
the choice is his.
Yeah, I'm going to respect him as one of the GOATs.
Absolutely.
He never
still the GOAT of heavyweight to this day.
To this day, he really is. I mean, beating Verdum, beating Kane, or no, he never fought. He beat Verdum. He beat Francis. They went 1-1. You know, he's beaten all the other champs. You know what I mean?
He has really beaten everyone.
Yeah, but Verdum wasn't going for a while to me, and the way he put Verdum out was pretty incredible.
Showed his power, that's for sure.
Yeah. being random into it.
Well, there we have it. That's our picks are in. Our analysis is in. And we're going to see what happens next week, Saturday night, UFC 285.
Let's go, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it. And we'll see how we did on our picks, you know, man.
Yeah, we'll be here. We'll be here going over UFC 285 when it's all said and done. We'll be back. I'll own my losses and I'll take my wins. So we'll see. Did I put my picks or
did you?
I put my picks.
No, I think. Well, you said you were taking Shavkat.
Hold on. I'm looking at the card. I'm going John Jones within 3. I think I said that. Valentina gets it done. Decision or TKO. I think I said that. Shavkat, we said I'm going to ride with Shavkat somehow. Jalen Turner. I'm going to go with Jalen Turner. Submission somehow. And Bo Nickel, I think, gets done. So I think we have the same picks. Oh, you have Jeff Neal.
Yes, you have Shavkat. And I'm not dying on that hill. That could be either way. I just want to ride with the sport, and
Absolutely.
I like him. I hope he gets it done and steals some of that hype, and gets himself put into a better position. I would like to see that for him. I wouldn't be mad if it didn't happen.
I would like to see him go on a run. I mean, his nickname is Hands of Steel, so
Go, just deal, Neil. Let's go. I can't.
All right. Well,
not can run off after. People understand.
I don't know. His chin hasn't been tested. We don't know what his chin looks like.
No, but when you run into the line of fire the way he does, he ain't afraid to get hit.
True.
That's a lot of times. You either don't see it coming or really don't want to be in that firefight. I don't really pick that up watching his fights. I think he's ready to just engage, and
He's ready to go.
he's ready to get it done easily.
Well, there you have it. This will be up. You guys will see our picks, and if we're wrong, we're wrong. If we're right, we're right. But that's all I got. If you got anything,
No, I just wanted to thank you, for getting me on here with you. I appreciate it. I love talking to you about this kind of stuff, and we could do this
for first of many, for sure. Wherever this
again.
I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I like the UFC. I love this sport, and I am an MMA guy.
Yeah, it's fun to dissect the sport. You know what I mean? It's the only sport I've ever really cared about.
It.
Yeah. This stuff is fun to me, and it's beautiful to watch to me at the highest level.
It's an art. It's a violent one, but it's an art.
It's an art form, and it's just the oldest and purest sport in the world. It goes back as long as people were eating and reproducing, they were fighting, and
they were.
And it's just beautiful to watch the highest level in action, and do it for us, man. I'll get my popcorn now, and I'll eat it every time.
Every single week when there's a card, I'll be there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it from us, y'all. We'll see you. I don't know if we'll have a video up before or after UFC 285, but you'll be seeing us.